Morning, everybody. Good morning. Good. Good. How y'all doing? Good.
Joe, we just talked to Cody. Your offensive line had a lot of young, movable parts, but it also seems like things are kind of crystallizing in terms of maybe the look you want to have and the five you might be able to roll with as things come together.
Yeah, not having Ryan here right now, obviously he'll be an integral part, in the middle. But I think we're figuring out the edges, and I'm sure, I know Dave kind of alluded to it a little bit that we've got Luke out at tackle right now, kind of like we ended up in Atlanta with him out there. And so far he's looked really good, looks comfortable. And then we've moved Tristan over to left. And, he's had unbelievable attitude with it. And, every day looks better and better and more comfortable. Obviously, that's going to be a process. But I think so far it's coming along very well, And again, it's muscle memory. It's all those little things that he's had, 1,000,005 reps over at the right side and now trying to, do the same over on the left. So it's a little bit of a process out there, but he has got the right attitude in that. And, you put him and Matt Filer over at left guard, when you line those guys up and Jensen, it looks pretty good. It looks the way it's supposed to look, that's for sure. And so it's good.
What do you like about Filer's game?
Number one, Matt's been in the system before coming from San Diego. There's some carryover there. He's strong. He's athletic. He's a man of few words, but he goes out in his work ethic. And that's the one thing I'm just really impressed with the entire group right now. This is voluntary, and these guys come to work and really working on their craft. It is every day. It has been, that part's been really great. Sometimes guys get out there and kind of go through the motions, and that has not been the case at all.
Once again, this year you guys invested a high draft pick in the offensive line, and this year you got Cody. Just your thoughts when you first popped in the tape on him. What did you like about him?
It's funny when you watch guys coming from smaller schools, sometimes it's hard to evaluate because you're trying to evaluate, okay, hey, can he play against the bigger guys, this, that, more of the things they see that as you're evaluating him. You can see his athleticism, obviously his size, his numbers are his numbers, but what really gave me a pretty good picture of the kid is the Senior Bowl. And when he went there and played every 5 positions. He tackle, he was at guard, he was at center. He picked up the ball and played center, and no one told him to do it. And when you went, he did a pretty good job at it, So it was one of those things where you're like, okay, this guy can get it, And he moved up our board pretty quick, after. And for me, it was a Senior Bowl. And I have no doubt that he'll come in here, compete. And in my opinion, that's what it's all about. I know some of you mentioned, great, that, young parts and all that. And, he's going to come in and he's going to have an opportunity to be one of those parts, and at the end of the day, we just want to get the best 5 on the field.
We know Ryan Jensen brings a lot of intensity to this offensive line. Do you see Cody kind of bringing a little more attitude as well?
There's no doubt. I mean, you got Matt, who's got attitude, Ryan, and him in there. They're gonna get after some people now. That's going to be a fun thing to watch. That's for sure. So there ain't no doubt about that.
I was going to say, how much is Cody's temperament? I mean, you mentioned willingness to try new things, which if a guy's played offensive tackle, it's not easy moving inside and especially snapping the ball, but. Temperament and attitude, how much did that also help him, I guess, move up your draft?
Well, you saw that when he was playing in college. You could see his temperament, the way he played, the way he finishes, all that kind of stuff. That showed on his tape. And then the part of being able to go inside, he proved that at the Senior Bowl. You're not playing against those guys who were first-round draft picks and did what he did in practice and then during the game if you can't do it. And he did it at a pretty good high level.
Was there any particular rep in Senior Bowl? Or
no, it was just overall his overall work, the whole thing from one-on-ones to group periods to the game, kind of take that a little bit. But when you're watching them on day in and day out and these guys are competing, they're trying to get evaluated there, and he went against some pretty good people there. So I feel really good about it.
You look at this year, you guys are moving on, new system, new year, all that stuff. At the same time, there's a lot of guys from your offensive line that are still here from last year. And they were part of the worst rushing attack. How much of hunger, of a chip on their shoulder do you see about that, especially when they hear from the new offensive coordinator, we're going to commit to running the ball this year? What's your take on where they are mentally in terms of grasping that?
I think I was just sitting with Dave in there, and I think that, you know, they any time that you have change, it's hard, it's positive, it's negative, it's tough. But at the end of the day, I think the guys have really bought in to the fact that saying they know that running the ball can help them. So I think they're excited about that. You know, I think the guys just know in general that it's a new year, you know, it's a new start. We don't have Tom anymore. So I think from that standpoint, they're fired up, you know. I know this for a fact that the guys have gone out to dinner for a few times with Trask and Baker, you know, and I think that's awesome, you know, that those guys are hanging out together and doing stuff around the city and building that camaraderie, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, you know. So I think the whole group, the whole offense in general is in a great spot right now, for whatever reason. But I think we're in a great spot. You can see the guys that are, like I said, they're coming to work every day. This is voluntary, you know, and you could say you don't have to one time, you know, I don't know how many times out there when a guy has a bad rep so far in these 2 weeks we've been out during phase 2, they turn around and say, hey, Joe, can I get another rep? That didn't feel right, or I felt I was too high or something. I'm like, absolutely, you know. So if that's happening, we got something going right.
Of the offensive line change now that we don't have Brady behind center?
I mean, I think that, you know, Dave brings obviously a different system that we have, you know, Kyle can do for sure. Baker can do it for sure. I just think it's a different system in the sense that, you know, we'll figure out what those guys can do. Obviously, Tom was the greatest of all time, and all that stuff. But there were things that, hey, at his age and his point of his career that he was limited of doing as well, you know. And I think that our guys with Trask and Baker being younger and that, they add a little bit of different where you can do some different things a little bit, you know, that we might not have done with Tom, you know. So I think there'll be some good new stuff. There'll be a lot of stuff that might look similar. So, you know, for the most part, everybody runs the same plays. It's just what you put together and what you think you guys can do and do successfully.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Yep.